I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Corgi Shank, Breakthrough COVID Case.
Woo! And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon. I have a cold. We both sound terrible, and we're recording a podcast anyway.
The sicky one. You know what? I love podcasting, and I will do it even when I have the deadly virus that went around and is going around. But I'm vaccinated, so it is very mild as of time of recording. Everyone knock on wood for me.
But someone who is not sick as a dog like the rest of us is our guest.
I feel pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
You're hearing
We're
the
going
dulcet...
to steal your health
We're going to steal your health. You're hearing the
podcast.
dulcet tones of Masao Kobayashi. Thank you, Masao, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
We're excited to have you on, Masao. I'm also excited because we were connected via Wireless Riot, a.k.a. Mandy, who is a longtime friend of mine, and was like, I like this person. You should have this person on your podcast. And I'm glad that it worked out. And it's always exciting. We're all doing a dance, but you can't see it. But thank you for joining us. We're going to chat a little bit about your indie games work and your podcast later. But first, to start, as always, we will talk about the most recent things we have all watched. I will go first and try not to sniffle too much into the microphone. Sorry, future Rachel, for any editing you may have to do or not do, depending on how you're feeling.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. It's a surprise to everyone. But the most recent thing...
Sniff Watch 2021.
The most recent thing I have watched is the popcorniest of popcorn movies. I watched Netflix's own Red Notice. For those who are not familiar, Red Notice is an action comedy starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot. It has an incredible supporting cast as well. It's a thriller, action, comedy, think your Ocean's movies, and, pretty much anything Ryan Reynolds does. And it was fun. The plot has some twists and turns and some curveballs, which is always fun. But as a movie, it was fine. It was fun. I watched it with my spouse. I didn't expect it to be mind blowing, but I was entertained. I chuckled a bunch. And it's got a very attractive cast, which who can say no to that? The literal most bisexual of panics in that casting. But yeah, it was a fun movie. It wasn't anything that we haven't seen before. But that said, I was still entertained by it. I don't know if either of y'all have seen Red Notice yet.
Nah.
No.
Yeah.
You know me. Is it anime or a musical?
That's true. Yeah, there's not a lot to dive deep in it. I mean, I really like the supporting cast, and I like, it has a solid runtime. I'm not familiar with the writer-director, Ross and Marshall Thurber. I feel like they've done a bunch of other stuff, but they're not someone that I'm hyper familiar with. But it got some chuckles out of me. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is essentially playing Deadpool again. Like that's kind of the caricature he's fallen into in a lot of movies, even outside of the Deadpool movies. And The Rock is always The Rock.
Wait, this is like off-brand Deadpool?
Essentially, I mean, he's quippy and he's making jokes. He's not as lewd as Deadpool is, but definitely the same kind of irreverent humor and commentary and that kind of thing. It's nice to see Gal Gadot playing a bad guy-ish thief. It's a little different from her other roles, mostly well known, of course, as Wonder Woman. And The Rock's playing. I don't know if he's an FBI agent or just a detective.
The Rock is playing The Rock. Does he ever not play The Rock?
No. But they're all charming and entertaining. The action's fun. The set pieces are fun. It has a lot of exotic locations, and it's a thief better thief movie, right? It's like the thief trying to best the other thief. And so those kinds of movies are always fun, a la a very kind of Ocean's movie kind of way. Like, it definitely doesn't have the Steven Soderbergh touch. Like, those movies are stylish in a way that this one wasn't, but it's the same kind of concept. If you like funny, fun, kind of freewheeling action comedies, then you'll probably enjoy this. And if you have Netflix already, it costs you nothing extra to watch it. That said, if you don't like those kinds of movies, then don't watch this. There's nothing for you, really. It's very much that specific thing, and if that's not the kind of thing you want to watch, this will do nothing for you. It's not like breaking the mold. It's not like if someone hasn't seen one of the Ocean's movies, I'd say go see those movies. They're like the best of that genre. But this movie is not like you have to see this version of this kind of movie. It's good and it's fun, and if you want to be entertained and kind of do less of the thinking and more of the just absorbing, this is that kind of movie. Which
sounds the kind of movie you play in the background while you're playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah, sure.
It's an Animal Crossing movie.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. It's an Animal Crossing movie.
I have so much terraforming to do. It's going to take me about 90 minutes. Red Notice, I guess. One of those TNT movies where you're just like, oh yeah, of course this would be on. Right,
exactly. So yeah, I don't have much more to add to it. Like, I could go into the plot, but I don't. It's not really relevant.
Sounds like you don't want to. Also.
Well, no, it's mostly it's the whole Rock. The Rock tries to capture Ryan Reynolds. He does, and then gets double crossed by someone else, and so he then needs Ryan Reynolds' help to catch the bigger thief, played by Gal Gadot, who plays a character called the Bishop. And so they have to team up to catch the Bishop, and then it's all of the hilarity ensues as this odd couple pairing tries to work together to catch the other thief. Like, you've seen this plot before.
They work together to catch the other thief. Matt, I want you to do trailers.
Thanks.
So badly.
It would be terrible.
I would love it though.
But yeah, so that's the gist. Like I said, I didn't dislike it. I think it's watchable for sure, but it's not the movie I would choose to watch. There's so many others that I've been wanting to go see. I got sick last weekend when I was going to go see Ghostbusters, so I didn't have a new movie to watch, so I get to talk about this one instead. Also, like,
it's real second place prize of a movie.
Pretty much. I mean, I was going to talk about Hawkeye also, but it's only the first couple episodes, and while I enjoy
too soon to tell.
Too soon. I mean, I really loved the first two episodes, but I'm also a diehard Hawkeye and Matt Fraction fan, and so even if this is only a form of it, I'm still going to love it. But I'd much rather wait until the full season's out before I talk about it.
It's only even if it was only a fraction.
Right. Exactly. But I already got Kate Bishop and Pizza Dog, so I don't have that much to complain about so far.
Yeah. Also, that apartment.
It's so good.
It's so good. As soon as they walked in that apartment, I was like, that meme of Leo DiCaprio being like, hey,
there it is. There's the reference.
You switched it, but I gotcha. I see you. So Matt,
yes.
To keep this one brief. If you had to describe Red Notice using 3 words and 3 words alone, and you cannot use red nor notice, how would you describe this Netflix second place Animal Crossing prize?
The 3 words I would use to describe it are fun, goofy action.
Fun, goofy action. Amazing. You love to see it.
You do.
I like that you and I, in this particular bout of dealing with and resting through illness, we went completely opposite paths in like, well, I'm going to watch a movie, so I guess I'll watch something, because I brought 2016's Arrival.
You're only first seeing Arrival now?
I'm only first seeing Arrival now. It takes me a while. There's too much consumable media, so you got to give me at least a 5-year leeway between.
Fair enough.
I'm amazed that nobody spoiled it for me.
I'm glad that no one spoiled it for you also.
Yeah, I'm definitely, even though it is like 5 years old of a movie, I'm not going to spoil it, but I am going to say I loved it. It is such a slow burn, but like everything that you're like, oh, this is a slow burn. Once you realize what you're realizing, you're just like, oh, this whole movie has just been fucking me up, huh? Just this whole time. Well, good job, movie. It was the most beautiful, ugly movie I've ever seen.
That's so true.
Yeah, it's so, and like I went, obviously I looked at the trivia after I watched the movie on IMDb, but like that was sort of like the goal. They wanted this to look like somebody's like bad Tuesday morning, where it's just like nobody is pretty in this. Like everything's like gray and like undersaturated, and it rules. It's like so purposeful. Like there's an absolute reason for this, and I love that. You know, it has that same color palette as like I'm never gonna say the director's name right. The Dune scenes on the Atreides homeworld.
Right.
That's as best as I'm gonna do today, and remembering all of the names from Duncan, Idaho, Dune. But yeah, it was so well crafted that I just like. I watched it this afternoon, and I've just like low key been thinking about it all day of like what that means, and like how that relates to like this big picture of like, what do you do with the tool, or you know, how does that tool relate to a very personal experience, and the fact that they really like kind of keep the very personal side of our protagonist's story kind of to a minimum, especially like right after that shoe drops. You're just kind of like getting bits and bursts of like the meaning of it all. Like that's so efficient that I could like craft an entire life through a series of like cuts away from the action at the spaceship. You know, like that's so cool that I can just sit here and go, I can understand and encompass this entire life story. How wild is that I, an audience member, can do that based on very little, you know, and like how that even informs the way that the story is progressing through the eyes of our protagonist. I think I'm doing a really good job of sort of like explaining
dancing around it without
what Arrival is doing without saying exactly like and then it was this. What a fascinating movie.
Arrival,
what a great flick.
Arrival is one of those movies that gets the spouse seal of approval, and what I mean by that is like, if it were up to me, I'd just watch mostly comic book movies and like popcorn flicks. Like I don't always go out of my way to find drama or sci-fi that's outside of my comfort zone. My spouse Sarah, however, does, and Arrival was based on a novelization, I believe.
A novella called Story of Your Life.
Right, and Sarah had read that and wanted to see this, and so we went together, and I walked out of that movie with my mouth agape and my jaw on the floor. It's the same, like I wouldn't have seen Hidden Figures or Moonlight without her as well, and like, so like I love that our tastes pull us both in different directions sometimes outside our comfort zone, and Arrival was absolutely that movie. Like I couldn't believe, like it took me most of the movie to grok what's going on, and for most people that'll be the case, but once I did, I went, oh shit. I was like, oh no, what?
Yeah. I'm also a huge fan of the movie Contact.
Oh, hell yeah. Great movie.
So this movie was like right up my alley in that same way where it's
same
like,
kind of sci-fi.
Yeah. The story of like, how do you communicate with beings that like are absolutely unlike you in every way? Like mouths are different, like gravity is not the same. Like how do you transcend that and like recognize and respect the sentience of someone or something that is so far out of your sphere of understanding that learning about them, sort of like allowing them to sort of like colonize your mind and your heart, changes you intrinsically, and not like in a bad way, you know. Right. I'm not saying like, oh, the colonialism obviously under the lens of like modern day like late stage capitalism, super bad, but like I'm talking about like colonizing in a way of like something foreign to you coming into you and sort of like changing you in not the adverse way.
Right.
but also kind of in an adverse way, because like you can't unring that bell.
Yeah.
You know, but like it's so cool to sort of like toss around the implications of the tool, you know, and how it is used and using itself to go on. You know, there's so much to think about without actually like saying what it is. It's really hard to like describe the nuance and the layers of what is happening. Please watch Arrival. Don't be like me. Don't wait another second. I mean, I guess if you watch it after this, you are like me. You waited like 5 years, but like, don't wait anymore. Run, don't walk. It's on Hulu. Go nuts.
Masao, have you seen Arrival?
I have not.
I highly recommend.
Did I do a good job of not spoiling it?
I don't know what you're talking about. So
yeah, it didn't make
Excellent.
any sense.
Now I feel like I need to go watch it though.
It was, and not only is it like one of the coolest like hard sci-fi revelations I've seen in cinema recently, it is so beautifully acted and incredibly shot. Like it gets into your head, not just because it's like getting into your head in like this really like weird thought experiment that you're doing, but also just in the way it is showing you so much and telling you so little. Like the most it gets expository, in that like we should probably catch you up on like what's happening, is one voiceover by Jeremy Renner who's like, yeah, the aliens, they're like this, you know, they do this, and like that's it. Everything else is just kind of like you're in it and you're like, I don't know, how are they gonna, yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that like is why I love sci-fi. Like it's up there with like Moon and Contact.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't get me wrong, I love Fifth Element, I love Star Wars, like I love big bombastic sci-fi, but I also love slow subtle sci-fi. And like that movie in particular, Arrival, is I've always liked Amy Adams as an actress, but after that movie I went, she's a phenomenal actress.
Yeah,
like,
give Amy Adams an Oscar, please. For that, like, after the fact. Just do like a Leonardo DiCaprio. You know you wanted to give him an Oscar, not for The Revenant, but then you didn't. Yeah. So just do that for Amy Adams. Thank you.
And also, like, I mean, we rag on Jeremy Renner, and we should, because he's kind of an asshole. But
kind of a weird dude.
But that performance in that movie specifically is one of his most nuanced and smallest roles, and small by like Jeremy Renner is a bombastic person on film, like in Tag and in Hawkeye and in the Avengers movies. Like he is larger than life. In this movie, he is so much smaller and nuanced, and it's actually a really, really excellent performance. I agree with you 100%, Rachel. Everyone should see this movie.
Yeah.
It had been in like the back of my brain until you just brought it up, and I was like, oh my God, I need to rewatch that movie, because I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters.
Oh yeah, it's so epic in so many ways. And it does what great sci-fi does best. It makes its sci-fi premise the vessel for a discussion of our human nature.
Yeah.
You know, like, I watched a really cool, like, quick essay about it, because it's one of those movies where you're just like, okay, now I have to watch, like, every video essay ever about it, because I want to hear what the internet thinks.
Right.
Like, I want to hear all your thoughts. Tell me about it, Zeitgeist. And just this, like, sci-fi is the vessel to be like, hey, these aliens, they speak like this, which leads you to ask, why do I speak like that? Right. You know, and it's a really great lens for like introspection as humanity, where it's just like, oh yeah, we are kind of a bunch of assholes, kind of a lot, but also like the depth and breadth of our ability and our willingness to love each other, even if that act of loving is an act of like pain.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that is one of the most interesting elements of really good sci-fi. You walk away and you're not just going like, oh yeah, the science of that was so cool, like, oh, I hope they probably talked to a lot of astrophysicists about yada yada yada, but you're more like, how do I appreciate and love someone more today and endeavor to do that every day? Like, that's how I felt after finishing Arrival. I was like, Tell people I love them more. Shouldn't I? Well, shit. It's great.
Yeah, it's an all-time sci-fi movie for me.
It's a banger.
It is. It is absolutely. Well, Rachel, if you had to sum up Arrival
Shit.
in just 3 words without using the word arrival, what 3 words would you use to describe this movie?
Logogram for love.
That's good. You'll understand it better once you've seen the movie.
Yep, when you watch the movie, you'll be like, also, is that cheating if it's a logogram? Hey.
That's one word as far as I'm concerned.
Just the visual logogram for like love, appreciation, humility, whatever.
All of those things.
Thank you.
Well, now it is
good luck typing that, Case.
Yeah.
Good luck looking that up.
Well, now it is time to move on to our incredible guest, Masao. Masao, what is the most recent thing you have watched?
It's not the most recent thing I watched because I've watched a lot of like single episodes of stuff that like the season is not complete and I can't really talk about it. The last thing that I watched that was like a full thing is okay. Well, the name is rather a bit much. Okay,
what? Anime having long convoluted names? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin Advent of Red Comet, the Advent of the Red Comet is the is the series. So even for anime titles, it's a bit much, but it's a spin-off series from the original Gundam, so frequently called the first Gundam, from 1979. And this is like from I think like 2019, I want to say. It's 13 episodes, and it kind of discusses like what led up to the events of the original TV series. So it kind of goes into what was happening in the Kingdom of Zion, and because are you guys Gundam fans?
So I'm a Mobile Suit Gundam fan, a G Gundam fan, and a Gundam Wing fan. So I haven't watched everything, but like I'm familiar with a bunch of it.
Okay,
my understanding of Gundam comes from Sergeant Frog because Sergeant Frog likes Gundam.
Yeah. Yeah. Gundam's really amazing. Some of it's tough to get through, but like the original series is really like it's pretty shocking how like how sophisticated the story was, considering the fact like it was. I mean, the thing is like the first Gundam was originally like sponsored by toy manufacturers to sell like model kits to kids,
right?
Like and children. Like we're not talking about like older children because like and it is so sophisticated and depressing and complicated and like morally like gray. Like there are a lot of bad people doing bad things to each other, and like nobody's really good except for the kids who are just trying to survive, and there's a lot of children that are involved in the war, and everyone's like, and periodically there's like an adult that is like, why are these children fighting in this war? And then they're like,
Power Rangers.
Well, it's not. See, that's the thing. This is way before that. So like their adults were actually like more like their adults are actually better than Evangelion. Recently, I tweeted about this because I was watching like the Evangelion movies recently because I never watched the new movie series, and I watched the TV series when I was actually 14 because that's when it came out. Shinji Mikami, Shinji Ikari, the protagonist is 14. All the children are 14.
Yeah, they're babies.
So like it felt, if I identified with them a lot as a teenager, and I had never really kind of rewatched it. And it was kind of shocking to see it as an adult. Like all the adults in the series are just terrible human beings.
Yep. And
I'm like, how are you like? How is this really? I don't know. I had a very difficult time. But that's Evangelion.
Yeah.
So and Gundam, and we're not even talking about Gundam. We're talking about the origin, the the advent of the Red Comet. So
Right.
Advent of the Red Comet basically follows Shaw, like the main antagonist of the of the Gundam series, kind of
Right.
created the template of like, the red mechs go faster. Like that's from him.
Right.
And yeah, it's kind of his story and the kind of the political background of what happened and who he was and why he hated the ruling family of the Zion Kingdom. And yeah, it's actually very, very good. It's I wish they redid the first Gundam series kind of in this tone and art direction.
Right.
But which I don't think they will. But it's much more watchable because the 1979 series is like it's from 1979. Like the animation's pretty rough, and
Yeah.
it's very long. Like they stretch it out a lot longer than it needs to. But this is 13 episodes, very tight, like very concise story. But again, like still like does a great job of kind of exploring the nature of the conflict between the colonies, the space colonies, and Earth. And yeah, it was a great show.
I love
I'm
that.
I'm curious as a Gundam fan, a casual Gundam fan, I should say. Like I haven't seen every series. I haven't seen everything. Do you think this season is a good like starting point for folks who want to get into Gundam? Do you think there's enough interesting bits that folks could like jump off from this, or is this really meant for fans of Mobile Suit who have seen the original run of Mobile Suit?
It's a complete story, and because
Right,
it happens before the original Gundam story, like you don't need to have any context
right,
because they explain everything. Because
right,
like, um, yeah, it starts at the beginning of the story, whereas the Gundam kind of starts like after the war had already kind of taken off.
right.
So
Okay,
they've
that's cool.
So it's an independent piece of media that you could watch. If you're a Gundam fan, it might be disappointing, depending on how hardcore of a Gundam fan you are, because
Okay,
there's not a lot of mechs, because it's like
yeah,
it's pre-Gundam. Like Gundam
right,
doesn't even exist in this timeline yet.
right,
But they do talk a lot about like the creation of the Zaku, which is the antagonist mobile suits in the Gundam series, and um, the they explain some of the stuff like the Minofiski particles and like the the scientist that was involved in both the creation of Gundam and Zaku, and um, I don't know. Like, if you're into deep lore, this is great. This is really
yeah,
up your alley. If you want to see like a 13 episode cool show, I think it's a cool show. If you want a lot of robot action, it's not a lot of robot action. So it's hard to say.
gotcha. Do you?
Um,
It sounds like you
I
enjoyed
liked
it
it.
though.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
liked it.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm not a super hardcore Gundam fan. I've seen the original series. I generally kind of I like Gundam. I like Zeta. That's kind of where my Gundam kind of. I grew up watching like Gundam Wing and
hmm
G Gundam, and but I feel like I I mean I like them when I watch it, and even the like the more recent Gundam, like the Iron Blooded Orphans, like
hmm
they're good shows, but like they don't have the cultural gravitas that like the first Gundam had, and I
right,
think in many ways like I think the first Gundam really explored a lot of like the kind of the more difficult topics that everybody kind of traces, but hasn't really added too much in terms of kind of like yeah. I think there's a reason like the first Gundam launched that whole IP.
right.
But again, it's very old, so it's tough. But it's yeah, and I mean the Gundam itself still is kind of this enduring like design, like
Yeah,
even the modern Gundams still follow this like formula that was created, and it's kind of amazing that like something has survived for over 40 years, you know, in popular media, which is, I mean, that's a long ass time.
Yeah. And like Gundam, while it was always about big robots, it was also always about space politics. And so, like,
Yeah.
I feel like this show, leaning into the politics side in this show, especially as a precursor, makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
I think for anyone who's a fan of that side of Gundam, it sounds like they would enjoy this show as well.
It's cleaner. I
Yeah.
think that like the some of the like the unicorn Gundams and stuff, it just kind of gets like too convoluted.
Right.
The conflict is simpler, I think, in the original Gundam. You
Yeah.
have less actors. They're not trying to like pull out too many like surprises. It's it's messy, but it's like a fairly straightforward conflict where there's no clear bad guys or good guys.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, it sounds like it's definitely entertaining and worth checking out. Um, if you had to sum up Mobile Suit Gundam, the origin advent of the Red Comet, without
Wow,
using
you did it.
using, I pulled it up.
Any of those words.
I also pulled it up
yeah.
too. I was like, I don't know which one of us is going to ask this, but I'm going to have the title up.
If you had to sum it up in just 3 words without using any of those words I just said, what 3 words would you choose to sum up this show? And it doesn't have to be a sentence. It can just be 3 descriptors if you want. Any 3 words.
I'd say that Zavi's deserved it.
Zavi's deserved it. Okay.
Yeah, the
Zavi's
Zavi
deserved
family,
it.
who were the ruling family of the Zion kingdom, they totally deserved everything that came to them
They
by
had
the
it
hands of
coming.
Shaw.
There
They
you
totally
go.
had it coming.
There you go. Short and sweet. I like that. To the point. Getting to the point. That's what you got to do. Awesome. Well, Masao, I'm so excited to have you on because it's funny. We got connected via Twitter and we didn't know each other at all. And since then, I've dove into all the cool stuff that you do. And there's so much to talk about. I want to talk about Cut to Bits first. You mentioned it a
Okay.
little bit earlier. It's a co-working space and a game dev studio.
Well, yeah. So
and you're an indie producer for them. And so I'm just curious, can you tell folks a little bit about what Cut to Bits actually is and like what you do for them?
So Cut to Bits is a studio.
Okay.
It was co-founded by me and 4 other people. We're all former AAA game developers, in one fashion or the other, and with varying degrees of experience. I've been in the industry at this point for about 15 years.
Okay.
I think the creative director, Paul, has been in the industry for the longest, and I think he's like hovering 19, 20.
Wow.
The art director, about 17 years. Yeah, like it's kind of a complicated story to how we got here, but long story short, Paul, um, I'm not even going to explain how it got to that point because it's that is a story in and of itself. But he found investors that were interested in starting a studio with him.
Right.
So basically, he approached me saying like, "Hey, like, I have investors. I can start a studio, but I don't know how to run a business. Like, can you do this with me?" And I'm like, but he approached me at a bar on a Friday night, and we were drinking. And I was like, oh, that was kind of weird. So the next week, I actually we worked together. So like I poked him on a communicator, and I was like, so we had this really weird conversation on Friday. Like, were you serious? Like, are you actually like did somebody actually give you money to start a studio? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, let's do it. And yeah, we approached the other co-founders, and everyone said, yeah, let's do it. Like, this is probably our best shot at, going indie. Having investment like day zero is very rare.
Right.
So yeah, we did it, and we've been going for about 2 years. I quit my job at Ubisoft in July of 2019,
Hmm.
and we incorporated in August. And yeah, we've been going at it. It's been kind of weird because like so we got this space that was much bigger than what we needed because we were like, oh, well, it'd be cool if we shared the space with, you know, other cool people
Yeah.
because like, I've been working in games for, 13 years at that point, and like I'm always around games people, so I want to have like a co-working space that like kind of mixes it up.
Right.
And a friend of mine, Andy Belanger, who is a comic book artist, was also looking for a studio space with a couple of his friends. So I was like, "Yeah, do you want to like go in with this space?" And basically, in terms of how it works, like we have the lease, and they rent desks from us.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so it became this kind of co-working space slash game studio. And then that was November of 2019, and then COVID hit.
Right.
COVID lockdowns happened in 2020. Um, so most of the time that our studio has been in operation, we have been remote. Like
Right.
we have, I still go into the studio every day because uh, it's a better working setup for me,
Right.
and somebody still has to make sure that we're there and taking care of things, to make sure
Right.
that things don't burn down and we don't have leaks. And um, uh, uh, a reoccurring issue is that actually squirrels sneak into the into the space, so I have to catch
Really?
them. Yeah, I have to catch them and release them
Oh my
outside.
God.
They just want to start their own indie studio
Yeah,
Right.
well,
too.
actually, no. They get inside because they're like, "Oh, what's inside?" And then they get stuck, and then they freak out because they're like, "We don't want to be in here. Like, this is a concrete box. This is
Oh,
not what
y'all
we
are
like."
doing work in here. I'm a squirrel. No, thank you.
Yeah, so they want to get out, but like they're confused and scared, so we have to like kind of like trick them into like leaving. Because
I
we're
love
like, we're
these
not trying to catch you.
squirrels.
We just want you to leave. Like, we just
So
here, let me
so
open the door and then kind of like guide you with like boards.
so if like 5 years down the line you guys release a video game about catching squirrels and releasing them, we'll know where the
Yes, that,
inspiration
that
came
No,
that's
from.
where that's where it came from. Yes.
inspiration came.
Um, we are not making a squirrel game, but
Okay.
No.
not to spoil anything. But yeah, and we're currently yeah, and we're working, and yeah, we can't really talk about it much because
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
it's unannounced, and but at one point we will release it.
Well, that's exciting though that you're working on something, and I'm excited to hear more about it when you guys can talk
Hmm.
about it. But like, it's cool to see veterans of the industry now working on
Hmm.
something closer to the heart, something that they want to work on that's more personal to them. And I think it's whatever it is, and ends up being it'll be apparent based on the passion that's poured into it.
Yeah, and it also has to do with the fact that we all were working at Ubisoft,
Yeah.
and like
I was gonna say congratulations on escaping Ubisoft.
yeah, and this was like we left before like kind of like all the news hit
Right.
um hit, but like it had been a problem for a while. Like
Of course.
I've had, and the thing is, people focus on like the harassment of you know, uh, POC and um, uh, the LGBTQ and um, women, but like, and I'm not trying to minimize their experience uh, and the fact that they do have they have had some pretty harrowing experiences. It's just it was just a generally not a great place to work. Like they
Right.
have, I mean, I don't know anymore because I haven't been there for 2 years, but they had pretty crummy like HR policies, and like there's a lot of things that are designed to like kind of like yeah, it was just like the way that they ran the studio was just not a great place in the
Yeah,
long term.
it sounds
So
like a
that's kind
lot
of
of it is a very toxic working environment that is going to especially cause detriment to people who are already just marginalized in our workplaces
yeah.
through like
Yeah,
structural
for
oppression,
sure.
so yeah.
But like it's like the crazy thing is like it's really designed to like screw over everybody.
Right.
Hmm.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Like the worker is not like yeah, I don't really want to get into the details, but
No, of
just in
course, of
terms of
course.
like
Yeah.
the way that they structure like promotions and raises and like even the reviews are just designed for like basically nepotism to win out and
Right.
like people who are working hard to kind of, you know, like get the short end of the stick frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So like
Yeah, the way I like to think about it is the games industry is a really good way to look at exploitation in a
yeah.
mhm,
very like palpable way. Like you
Yeah.
can really note, like
yeah.
this and go like, yeah, this is kind of the way that our economic system organizes itself at
Yeah.
this
Right.
point. And
Oh,
like
for
the games
sure, for
industry
sure.
definitely is one of those like, would you like some prime examples?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, like it's
Ubisoft,
definitely
Activision Blizzard, like
yeah.
shall I go on?
Yeah.
Um,
I
you
mean,
know.
they're not as hardcore capitalist like the Activision Blizzard, but
Sure.
they're toxic in other ways. And
Yeah.
but
Well, but
anyway, that's I don't really want to get into that too much.
No.
But
yeah, of
anyway,
course.
that was a a big factor, and we wanted to do something in a way that like was really respectful. Like one of the things that we really um, value a lot as a studio in terms of our culture is like kindness
Yeah.
and respect and like and understanding of each other and our circumstances and
Right.
our backgrounds and who we are because I think there's a lot of that that's missing within the larger studios and that's something that I think yeah, that was a big factor as well. I mean, I really love the game that we're making. We're all really happy to be working on the game, and it's really like a huge like change of pace to like make a game with 5 people compared to like 500 plus
Sure.
people that I was used to working on games with at Ubisoft. Like we just kind of decide things and do things, and there's very few meetings, and there's not a lot of coordination that needs to happen, and things happen pretty quickly because, well, I mean, happens quickly in some ways and slower in other ways because we don't have like 20 people animating stuff or but
Sure.
but yeah, no, it's been a really positive experience overall. I mean, there's been definitely growing pains. Like I've had to learn how to run a business, which I've never had to before. I was middle
Sure.
management at a large studio. Like I've never even looked at like how much anything costs because that all of that is obscured to like
Right.
middle management. Like all I know was like how many people did what. Like I mean, I had like loose ideas of how much things cost because you can kind of estimate
Right.
ballpark. But
Mm.
yeah, now I have to deal with things like taxes and lawyers, and um, yeah, hiring is also very different when you don't have like a recruiting team that's going to give you a stack of CVs.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a trip, that's for sure. I don't regret one moment of making the transition. And yeah, so far things have been pretty good. And hopefully we can kind of keep the chain rolling and yeah,
That's
release the
awesome.
game at some point.
I
Yeah,
love that.
wishing you
No.
so much luck on this.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear about your game when it's time.
It's pretty cool, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
That's really cool. I'm so glad that you were able to get out from under and that you feel like you're in a better place and with a better company. I too am looking forward to whatever Cut to Bits gets to put out. Shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk about your podcast because I think it's such a brilliant idea. So you host a podcast called
Yes.
What Else Do You Do? And it is you talking to various folks, mostly game developers in the games industry, about anything but games. You talk to
Yes.
them about what else they do. And let me tell you, as someone who's hosted an interview series for years and years and often tries to talk about on my show, I'll talk about what they do, but then I also want to know what video game they play or what TV show they watch. Like, I think it's such a brilliant idea to bring people on who spend all their days talking about games and going, what else do you do? Talk a little bit about why that was important to you to talk to these people known for games and get them out into the world talking about anything else.
So I used to co-host a podcast uh, that was about people's careers. So like I wasn't one of the main hosts,
Mm-hmm.
but whenever they needed a substitute host, I would come and guest host this podcast, and we would talk about people's career paths, like what do they do, like how do they get there, and I really liked it because it was not about like game design theory or, like very wonky game dev podcasts that there's a lot of, like, like
Right.
just talking about like why'd you make your decisions, or like, just game design decisions in general. Like that's cool, but like um yeah, I really enjoyed that we kind of like were able to talk to people about like kind of them being people. And so when that podcast ended, I was thinking like I kind of wanted to do a podcast myself, and then the pandemic happened, and at one point I was like, you know what? Like I really do want to do a podcast, and what do I want to do? And I was like, I don't really want to talk to people about video games because like I don't want to talk to people about video games. That's what I do for a living.
Right.
And it was a point where I felt like we were fully kind of in lockdown, like it was before vaccination was rolling out, and I was no longer meeting people. Like it
Right.
was very difficult to kind of network, which was supposed to be part of my job as a studio manager. We're supposed to meet people and like, find people that we can work with, and,
Right.
just generally kind of build up a roster of people that we know so we can kind of, help each other promote and help each other like kind of develop games and just kind of be there for each other as a community. And I felt like I didn't really have that. So I was like, well, what can I do? Like, who can so I was thinking like, okay, well, I want to talk to people, but I don't want to talk about games. Like, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to talk to people about their hobbies because like most people don't really get to like sit down and talk to someone for half an hour about something they really love to do
Right.
because most people don't ask. So I was like, well, I'll try that, and we'll see how it goes. And then I started, and it was a lot of fun, and kind of yeah, it just kind of I just wanted to I wanted to showcase like kind of like game devs as kind of whole people. They're
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
not just like video gaming automatons. Like they're, like they're, we have lives outside of it, and that's healthy. And that's the
Yeah.
other thing too. Like I wanted to kind of, put something out there for the juniors to say like, look, like stop making video games all the time. Like
Right.
look at a tree or something. Like, like it would be better for you creatively and also your physical and mental health. So yeah, that's kind of what it was. I also wanted to have like a way to like, create content that I could um uh have guests that didn't necessarily reflect the like the all white male um roster,
Right.
because I think the reason I was like that became really important to me was like I remember watching the stream for the I think it was the Game Awards for the previous year. It was like in December, and I was watching it, and I was like, it was just like a parade of white dudes in polo
Yeah.
shirts, and I was like,
Yeah.
Jesus, like I can't, like this is kind of depressing because like
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who are not women, I mean not, white dudes. Like there are plenty
Right.
of women that work in the games industry and a lot of, you know, and people of color and, like everybody else,
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I was like, well, I should like do something where like I showcase these people to
That's awesome.
to kind of show that like, hey, we're out here, like we exist.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of what the podcast is about. I've also done a couple of miniseries within it.
Hmm.
So like kind of in the vein of like white dudes being white dudes. There were a handful of studios that kind of popped up in Montreal that were like literally all white dudes. It was kind of embarrassing. They would have these like team shots of like 16 dudes, and they're like literally you could not find a single woman or person of color to join your studio in this founding like this. And I mean I get it if you're like three people like
Right.
yeah, like okay, you and two of your buddies like decided to start a studio, like whatever, like that makes sense. But when you're like 16, like I mean, you
Did you just
clearly
get
have
your whole
funding.
frat house to do this
Yeah,
with
like
you? Like,
like you clearly have funding. It's not like you're asking people because that's the other thing too. Like when you have like a super small studio and you're like kind of bootstrapping it, you're asking people to like quit their jobs and like you have no salary. We're not sure what we're gonna do. Like I get it. Like that's a tall order for people to jump onto, but like you clearly have investment. You
Yeah.
clearly have some kind of financial backing. You did recruiting. Like really? Like couldn't come up with one? And so I did a mini series where I interviewed people who manage diverse studios. So I did five of those.
Oh, cool.
Four of those have already aired. And just ask them like, hey, how did your studio start, and why does it not look like these studios that only have white dudes? And how do you approach hiring? Like, has it always been like that? Did it transition to what it is? Like, how do you, maintain diversity? So yeah, those interviews have been pretty interesting. And right now, I'm kind of doing this mini series where I'm interviewing Asian game devs that work in the West. And we talk about being Asian because being Asian is really weird. Um, because Asian is kind of a crazy concept.
Right.
Asia encompasses everything from Japan all the way to Israel. Like that's a very like the Middle East is technically West Asia. We don't talk
Right.
about West Asia that much, but like it is Asia. Central Asia, we never talk about either. Well, at least not over here. Like I was talking to some Russian guys, and they're like, "Yeah, we talk about Russia, Central Asia all the time." It's like, yeah, no, it's true. And Chinese people also talk about Central Asia a lot because they have, you know, well, border conflicts. Whenever you have
Right.
border conflicts, I suppose you talk about them. Yeah, and then North Asia, which is like Russia and Siberia, like yeah, like what what do we all have in common? Like that's it's
Yeah.
kind of an absurdly large area, and like it also encompasses like like such a diverse group of people, and you know so what does it mean to be Asian? And and even within like the people who have kind of similar like genetic background, like I'm half Japanese and half Caucasian, and I've spoken to a couple other people who are also half Japanese and half Caucasian, but depending on where you grow up, like that experience is so like completely different. And so I kind of wanted to talk about like, how it's really not this like monolith. Like people
Right.
talk about Asian Americans or Asian Canadians. Like, I mean, almost doesn't mean anything to a certain extent, but it
Right.
does. Like we do have things in common and we do share a lot of, you know, and we do share um like similar challenges and similar difficulties when it comes to accessing visibility or trying to move up in within a very white corporate culture and etc. So anyway, that's I've done like 6 of those. I'm like super like I have like so many like interviews in the can, so like it, I'm still like I'm constantly catching up to like
Oh,
I'm
what's
usually
what's
about
that like?
I'm
Having
about two and
episodes in
a
the can.
yeah, like I'm like 2.5 months generally, 2 to 2.5 months
Wow,
ahead
that's
of
Wow.
impressive.
where, yeah, in terms of where I'm recording versus where I'm like releasing. So like that's
Amazing.
gonna probably hit in probably another month and a half. But
It
yeah,
sounds awesome though. That
so that's what I've been doing right now.
this episode will air this coming Monday, so that's how far in the can we are. Um, but
I
no,
think in some ways that's better because like it's weird because people will say like, oh, and my game's coming out and like next week, and then by the time it airs, it's like, yeah, that was 2 months ago. So, but
yeah, I mean,
I
all of
mean,
them,
granted, my content is not really like it's not designed to be like fresh.
right. It's
It's not
evergreen.
it's
It's
not new.
Yeah.
evergreen.
Yeah, it's not news content, so
Right.
like generally, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But it's me kind of being like producery about it. Like,
Sure.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, what's the bottleneck? Like, where is the point of failure of this timeline? Like, okay, well, I can always rush and edit, but I can't rush an interview that I don't
Right.
have. So I'm
Right.
like, I'm just gonna have a lot of interviews like stacked up. So like, if I'm like
It's
too
smart.
busy and I can't interview anyone for like a month and a half, like it'll still be fine because like I can still like keep on releasing episodes for a while.
It's
So
smart. It's definitely
anyway,
smart. No, it's.
Um,
Oh, go ahead, Rachel.
you first.
I was just gonna say no. It's smart to do that, but also like if anyone's even generally curious, you should definitely go check it out. I've listened to a couple of the recent episodes, including your awesome chat with Tanya X Short, who I'm a huge fan of. I love Kid Fox games. I love
yeah.
Boyfriend Dungeon. So like, but even like I was listening today to the episode you did with May, episode 40, and it's
Yeah,
just like it's
that's
just
fun.
delightful. It's
Oh,
just
May's
fun.
delightful.
It's
May's
such
delightful. Yeah.
your show exudes this like positivity and sunshine and like even when you're not always talking about the most positive things, it's just people being genuine, and there's something so warm about
I mean,
that.
some of the episodes get pretty hardcore.
Right.
We talk about like we get really real because a lot of times I mean we have episodes where people basically had like significant health issues, and that's why they were like, I started doing this because like my doctor told me that I would like I'm not doing well and I
Right.
need to do something. So
Yeah. I have two questions. They're kind of
go
the
for it.
same. My first question is, what has been the hobby that you found the most surprising, or something you had literally never heard of before? You were just like, oh, that's a thing you can do. Has anyone just come and been like, oh
Um,
yeah, I carve soap? I don't know.
um,
That's pretty weird and normal to do, though, I'd
Carve
imagine.
soap? I haven't had anybody suggest that they want to talk about carving soap,
Yeah.
but I think the one that's like the most like kind of left field is Ian Vaflor, Billy Kumo on Twitter. He was involved in Kaiju Big Battle.
Oh,
I
amazing.
love Kaiju Big Bang.
Yeah, so we talked about
Yeah.
Kaiju Big Battle. I think that's probably the like quote unquote weirdest.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've had like I think what's more interesting, it's not necessarily that what people do is weird, it's just kind of surprising that that was something that they also do outside of, game development.
Mhm.
I have interviewed um uh let's see mm, Kitty Powers is a drag queen who is also a game developer,
Hmm.
and the Kitty Powers episode I enjoyed immensely because I'm a big fan of drag queens and in general.
Same.
So like
Yeah.
that was great, but I think somewhat surprising that there is a game developer that is also a drag queen.
You love to see it.
Let's see. I I interviewed Marie Claude, who's who what is she? I think communications director. Ah, fuzzy what her title is, but over at Behavior Interactive,
Hmm.
and I've known her for years because she used to be at Ubisoft. So like, and she's this like soft-spoken, nice lady, and she's super into Olympic weightlifting, and
Heck yeah.
she competes and she has some regional records, all-time records for her weight class. So that was I think that was pretty surprising.
Yeah. I love
Um,
that. The folks just have multiple lives that they're living in one moment, like not only following a passion that is a career path, but also following a passion that's just kind of like a passion, which is a
yeah.
great segue into the second question of a similar vein. What else do you do? Do you
What
have
do
any
I
fun?
do?
Yeah, you
I
any
I
fun
have
hobbies
I
or
do all kinds of weird stuff.
yeah? Tell me about it.
Um I'm undiagnosed, but my wife is convinced that I have ADHD because I have fixations, hyperfixations. So I really get into a lot of different things, and uh, let's see. Some of the things I've done. I got really into like repairing denim, like denim darning for a while.
Really,
Very
that's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like
Um,
your own jeans, or
yeah,
like
yeah, my own jeans. So basically, so darning is when you basically go over like so when your jeans wear out, like you get kind of this area that gets like thinned out and
right.
there's fabric missing. So you can reconstitute the fabric by like going back and forth on your sewing machine. So you just lay down new thread,
Oh,
and that's called darning. You can do that with jeans or you can do that with socks, like, and there's hand darning. I was using a machine. So yeah, I was that kind of came out of my love of like Japanese selvage denim.
oh,
I'm
cool.
really like I love jeans and like heavy stock jeans, kind of old fashioned style jeans. And yeah, when they kind of Montreal didn't really, well, still doesn't, I don't think has like a darning service. There are darning services in different places. Um uh and some of them are very cool, but there weren't anything in Montreal, so I was like, well, I'll just do it, and I got really into it. And I did that for a while. I have a kid now, so it's harder for me to kind of dedicate time because all of
Yeah.
this is very time consuming.
Sure.
A
Um,
kid, that's where the hobby time went. Ooh.
let's see. Other than that, I'd love to cook. I love to barbecue,
Oh,
so
nice.
I get pretty um uh I get kind of into phases where I'm like I'm gonna kind of really try to figure out how to do this kind of barbecue. So when I met my now wife, she was my French teacher, and she didn't really want to hang out with me, and well, she didn't want to date me because she didn't want to date a student. So I was like, okay, I have to convince her to hang out with me in a like a non-dating context, so she can like get to know me a little bit more. So maybe like I won't just be a student, like I'll be a
Right.
friend, and at that point maybe she'll go out with me. Um, so she told me at one point, she's like, "Oh, I like barbecue ribs," and I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't know how to barbecue ribs at that point, but I like barbecuing, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call up my buddy Jeff. Like, my so I used to live in the States. I lived in California for 10 years, and my buddy Jeff was like my like barbecue mentor. Like we used to like smoke stuff and like showed me kind of how to really use like a kettle barbecue. And I was like, yeah, so I need to barbecue some ribs. Like, what I need to do. And he's like, okay, well, this is what you need to do. So he kind of laid it out in the different kinds of barbecues that you could like. It's like like you can there's dry rub, there's brining, there's you can hit it with sauce. Like there's a bunch of things that you can do. Like you should figure out what you want to do. So I did a bunch. So I had I had like kind of like a like an experiment phase where I was like buying slabs and I would cut into little chunks and like do different things in the so I would like be doing like four different kinds of barbecued ribs in a single shot to kind of like do taste tests and when I figured out okay well this is what I want to do and kind of experiment with like temperatures and like wrapping and when to wrap it and I also made barbecue sauce from scratch and yeah I did all of that and when I felt like okay well I'm now ready so I invited my now wife over and I had people over and made barbecue ribs and they were like oh this is really good barbecue ribs and I was like yes I'm very aware that these are very good barbecue ribs.
I love that.
So it's a lot of extra credit right here.
Yeah, no, those there was a lot of experimentation and work that went into that. Let's see, what other nonsense am I up to? Oh, I have a TikTok.
Yeah. Love a
Yes,
TikTok. I have a TikTok. It's bad, but I have one.
My TikTok is my cat, I guess, because I was like, I don't want to do a TikTok. Here's my cat, though.
That works.
And my TikTok is very specific. I open bottles with improvised objects.
Nice. Oh, that's so good. That's such a good idea.
There's like I think I've made like at this point like 70 videos, 60 videos. Every week I record a video and I started in like last September. So like I think I've only missed like 1 week like in Christmas like last year. So yeah.
Wow.
I'll have to go follow that after this. That's
I do all kinds of stuff like you name it. I've probably I've done it like I don't know, Home Depot bucket, counters, spoons, axe. The axe video, I opened the three bottles with three different parts of the axe.
That's cool.
Like one of those like hollow Halloween swords. Like mini pumpkin. Let's see what else.
This is the best content I've ever heard of.
This is the CD for the apocalypse.
Like
so like I could open
like
a bottle
bus
with
stop.
anything.
Bus stop. Oh,
Yeah.
I love it.
What else? Yeah, fire hydrant. Like you name it. Like
Brilliant.
my boot heel. That one was actually pretty hard.
Yeah.
I love it. So
Yeah.
good.
So like yeah, I make those. TikTok doesn't seem to care. Like they usually reach.
They don't find it as impressive.
No, they
TikTok,
like
you are ungrateful.
yeah, like the
How
like
dare.
a good like I think best case scenario they reach like maybe like 1,200 views and
That's
like
not bad.
maybe
That's not
like
bad though.
15 likes.
All right. Yeah, look, you're
Honestly,
doing something innovative.
I don't do it for the views. I do it for my like 5 friends who like every single one of them.
Nice. Well, you're about to have a sixth.
So yeah, like that's some of the weird things that I do.
That's so awesome.
So
And
fun.
I sew a little bit and I like do like kind of shitty woodworking and by shitty woodworking I mean like I just take dimensional lumber and like cut it and like make functional furniture like
All right.
That's
useful.
really useful.
like I needed like we had like so at the studio I needed a little table to put like the modem and the router and we had a pallet so I cut up the pallet and made a little table.
Oh, amazing. Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it like but yeah it's pretty fast and loose.
I love it.
I generally don't measure.
Why would you? Who needs
Like
to
I'm
measure?
just like it just needs to be this long. The legs are this long, and I try to cut it all the same length. And
honestly,
I don't have a miter saw, so like the cuts are not exactly 90 degrees. But I did ask for a miter saw for Christmas this year, so
Nice.
I think my improvised furniture should be a little more straight.
Amazing.
You know, I mean, not the furniture of our forebears was not like perfectly level. They were just like, I built this sawhorse, and like everything's just gonna be on this angle. So like,
It works.
I built it out of wood. Now you got a
functional.
stool. There you go.
Function is important, right? That's the
Yeah.
most important part. Is it working?
Did it hold the modem?
Does it? Yeah, it does.
There you
holds the
go.
modem very
Then that's
well.
all
Like,
that really matters.
It's way over what is it? Over spec for the like. It could hold a lot. I could probably like stand on it and jump on it, but like
It's
in
holding
the
a
meantime,
modem.
it's holding like 300 grams
Look,
of plastic and.
but it's doing its job. It's doing
but
its
it's doing
job,
its job.
and that's what matters.
Hey, like before that, I was using a PC case that we needed because like at one point we needed to build a PC, and I was like, perhaps that $500 PC or $200 PC case is not the best
use of that. Yeah.
of that. So yeah, that's the silly things that I'm up to when I'm not making video games.
I love it. This has been
Delightful.
such a great conversation, Masao. Thank you so much for chatting with us.
Yeah.
Before we go, we have to still ask you our final question. But before we get to that,
Okay.
Rachel, we should thank some folks because my
Oh,
voice is
yes.
going, and
Yeah.
like me, into the far, far distance. I
Yes.
need to relax my throat.
Yes. Well, let us offer some gratitude first and foremost. Thank you, John Presnell, for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Rimble. Still a bop. I love hearing it.
Such a good song. Thank you also, of course, to the incredible Katie Bug who designed our awesome show art. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you.
Yes, and thank you to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for continuing to have these knockabout clowns among your ranks. We love it. Thank you. Go
Thank
check
you.
out other shows on the network. You can go to certainpov.com and you can find stuff like Panelology and the Mass Effect one.
Reignite.
That one.
I love how your promoting of the other podcasts on the network is just whatever you can remember that day, which is
Yep.
fine. It's fine. It's a fine way to
There
do
you
it.
go. Do I get the titles right? Not always.
Not
But now
always.
you're like, well, now I have to find out what they are talking about. There's a Mass Effect one?
You can go to certainpov.com to also join our Discord server. We have a permanent invite link there. We're chatting about all sorts of things like books, TV, movies. Our seasonal show, Certain Point of Yule, is coming back for its second season to talk about the latest and greatest in holiday movies. I will be a guest this season. I'm excited about it. So you should definitely go check that out. Also, if you'd like to reach me and Rachel, you can find us both on Twitter. I am DJ_Stormageddon, and Rachel is.
I am Rachel Quirky.
You were
I was
not expecting that.
I was not ready. I was like, oh
were not ready.
man, oh no. It's a garbage fire over there. What can I send you?
The podcast is, of course, at screen_snark. And then you can also send us a missive at screensnarkpod@gmail.com. A rating, a review, a like, and a subscribe on your podcast platform of choice is always super helpful to us. A quick review helps us to get featured on those platforms so other folks can find this lovely show. So please consider doing that. Now I will give the floor back to Rachel, who is now going to ask Masao our final question.
Yes. Masao,
Yes.
I love this question. If you could choose any one trope from movies or television to instantly and magically be true in your life, which trope would you choose?
Oh, okay.
He's already got his thinking face on. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, all right, this has got to be
Yeah,
good.
Ooh.
I'm not sure. I don't, Maybe the trope where I don't know what it's called, but like the person where everything just kind of works out.
Oh, like the
Yeah.
luck trope. Like, you
Yeah,
just
like
happen to be
a- like
lucky
a-
all the time.
Yeah, kind of like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like
Yeah.
Ferris
Yeah.
Bueller, everything just kind of
The-
like lines up.
Yeah, that born under a lucky star. We're just like, yeah.
Even when it doesn't work out, it still works out.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that would be pretty sweet.
That's
I
a good
love that
answer.
very
That's a good
much.
one. And I don't think one that's been said before either. I think that's a first for that one.
No? So many tropes.
So many tropes.
Little time.
There's so many tropes. Well, again, Masao, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
Why don't you
Masao.
tell folks where they can find you and the stuff that you do on the internet?
You can find me on. So everything I do is generally on my Twitter, which is Mega Masao. And yeah, my podcast is What Else Do You Do? And yeah, my TikTok is also Mega Masao if you want to see me open bottles.
Awesome. Go check all of that stuff out.
Some of it's pretty surprising.
Love your mohawk.
Yes, that's a good mohawk in that picture.
Listeners, I just followed Masao. It was so easy.
So simple.
I did it while I was podcasting.
Yeah.
So simple.
And
I love this bit.
I have plenty of hot takes about video games if
Yes.
Beautiful.
you wanna hear hot takes about video games. And yeah, that's it. Like pretty
Amazing.
much like hot takes and video games podcast and me opening bottles. That's what you're gonna see. Oh, and actually, I guess I don't know, some trash posting.
There you
That's
go. All
quite
the
a
best
bit of
stuff.
trash
everything
posting.
our listeners like, because
That's
that's
true.
all we do,
That's
minus
all we
the
do.
bottle opening.
That's true. You can also go to cuttobits.com to follow all the stuff that Cut to Bits is doing. Keep an eye out on that studio, as I hear they're going to be doing great things.
One day.
One day.
One day we will say something. I mean, so far the only thing I think Cut to Bits has officially communicated is like Cut to Bits has a TikTok as well that is managed by me, and I think I gave some like portfolio tips.
Nice. All right. Hey, that's useful. That's good
Yeah.
stuff.
I think it's valuable information. I mean, it's things that I want to stop seeing in portfolios. So like, hopefully that's gonna help me, I guess, selfishly.
You love
But
to see it.
yeah,
Well, thank you again, Masao, for joining us. This has
Masao.
been delightful. I'm glad we got to have this chat. Thank you, of course, to my incredible, beautiful, and delightful co-host, Rachel Quirky Shank.
Oh, and thank you to my Logograms for Love co-host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Oh, man, it's never not funny. And thank you, incredible listener, for being here. We appreciate you. We are so thankful to have you here, and we will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Did you know Rob Thomas has been writing since the mid-90s?
The Matchbox 20 guy?
No, the guy behind Veronica Mars.
Oh, and iZombie.
And Cupid, Party Down, the Cupid reboot.
I haven't seen those.
Me neither. But we should watch them and then talk about them on our podcast.
Yes. We could call it the Rob Thomas.
No, not that one.
Robcast.
Every other Tuesday with Alex and MJ.
Find us at notthatrobcast.libsyn.com or wherever you download podcasts.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.